At number 16, I've got Diego Pavia, who we expect to be Vanderbilt's starting quarterback entering the 2024 football season. Guys, within the last week or so, Vandy picked up the transfer of Pavia. He comes from New Mexico State, which, oh, by the way, this man has more SEC wins under his belt than some others on this list. You might recall this past season, Diego Pavia took his New Mexico State team into Jordan-Hare and beat Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers. So this is a dude, he's going to be no stranger to SEC ball. He's going to be no stranger to winning in the SEC. But for now, I do have Pavia at number 16. Number one, guys, somebody's got to be 16, okay? Somebody's got to be 16. And while the story is great and you beat Auburn, that's fine, that's dandy, whatever. Can he do it week in, week out in the SEC? Right? Can he do it against the best of the best in regards to this competition week in, week out in the best conference in all of college football? That is yet to be determined. Lots of unknowns, which is a theme with a lot of these quarterbacks down in the bottom third of the rankings. But I've got Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt's expected starter, at number 16. At number 15, I've got Arkansas signal caller Taylen Green, the Boise State transfer, who actually led Boise State to a conference championship this past season. But guys, admittedly, you look at the numbers, there was something left to be desired there. I think it was 11 touchdowns and 9 interceptions for Green in this past season. And I just wonder, under Bobby Petrino, that may be a leg up he has on some others, right? Having Bobby Petrino dialing things up and calling the plays and what have you. What is Taylen Green able to do in that offensive scheme, that offensive system? Just, again, a lot of unknowns. He kind of feels like a KJ Jefferson 2.0, if you will, from the standpoint of he's got that same build, he's got that same size, and I think the upside for Taylen Green is certainly there, no doubt. I think he can really flourish in Bobby Petrino's offense, but I just don't know right now. I just don't know right now when it comes to Taylen Green, and for that reason, guys, I've got him 15th in our rankings. At number 14, I've got Auburn signal caller Peyton Thorne, guys. I'm not a Peyton Thorne guy. I'm not a believer in Peyton Thorne. I don't think Peyton Thorne is very good. I am stunned that Hugh Freeze and company did not go out in the portal this cycle and grab a quarterback. I mean, that is really, truly, genuinely hard for me to believe. I don't know what Hugh Freeze sees in Peyton Thorne that he could not find in someone else. And Peyton Thorne had his moments, guys. Let's not forget, right? He was part of the reason Auburn nearly beat Georgia and nearly beat Alabama. But it felt like every time Peyton Thorne went up against a competent defense, he was no threat. He was no matter. He was nothing to deal with. He did not rise to the challenge. And so I'm really surprised that Auburn is moving forward with Peyton Thorne as their starter. And that's not to say he can't take major strides going into 2024. But if he does, and for Hugh Freeze to have the level of confidence he has in Peyton Thorne, he knows something, folks, that I just simply do not. And number 13, I got Kentucky signal caller Brock Vandagriff. Now, these are way too early quarterback rankings. This is not necessarily a ranking of where I think a certain guy will finish. Because I think Brock Vandagriff, guys, the Georgia transfer, has as much talent nearly as anybody on this list. The reason he didn't play simply was he was stuck behind Stetson Bennett and Carson Beck, right? He was just the odd man out in a quarterback competition in Athens. That being said, it's really, really difficult for me to rank this dude much higher because he has 21 career passing attempts. So if you're ranking Brock Vandagriff much higher, you're doing it based off of projection, if you will, which admittedly, some guys on this list, projection, upside, it does play a factor in where they are ranked. But with that being said, guys, Brock Vandagriff, I just need to see more. I just have no clue what to expect. I've never even seen Brock Vandagriff take a meaningful snap of any kind ever, right? He's going to have great receivers to throw to. You know, with Kentucky, they're going to have somebody at the running back position that's going to be a viable option for him. He's going to have a good defense to complement him. So I think Brock Vandagriff could have a really, really successful 2024 campaign. But for now, I just don't know. For now, I just don't know. And for that reason, I've got Brock Vandagriff in the 13 spot. At number 12, I've got South Carolina quarterback LaNorris Sellers. Again, a very similar situation. We have no idea. Now, there is as much hype and anticipation and excitement around a quarterback prospect as there's been in quite some time when it comes to LaNorris Sellers. And the action, guys, in year one, very, very limited, which is what you'd expect with Spencer Rattler being QB1 in 2023. The kid's only action came against Furman and Vanderbilt. Not exactly inspiring opponents to go up against. But with that being said, you saw some flashes of the arm strength. You saw the versatility, the running game, if you will, the dual threat nature with the touchdown run in the game against Vandy. I put LaNorris Sellers at 12 because of the upside, because of the potential. I think LaNorris Sellers truly, guys, has the skill set to be a top half of the league quarterback. Now, he may not even have as many resources or as much help around him as, say, Brock Vandagriff, Peyton Thorne at Auburn, even Taylon Green at Arkansas, guys. LaNorris Sellers, South Carolina loses, per our friend Brad Crawford at 24/7 Sports, nearly 95% of their offensive production from a season ago. The Gamecocks are replacing their quarterback, their wide receiver 1, and their RB1 from 2023. Also, it's a makeshift offensive line that was one of the worst in the SEC a season ago. And you arguably lose your top tight end in Trey Knox, although Joshua Simon returns for them to be a pretty viable option. All that being said, the upside with LaNorris Sellers, the potential is as high as I think any quarterback in the SEC. But again, unknowns. That's why he's down here in this group. Really, 12 through 16 guys are guys that they've all got high potential and high upside, but they just have not done it either at all or on a consistent basis in the SEC. And certainly LaNorris Sellers fits that profile. Supremely talented, has the arm, has the legs. Can he be the guy at South Carolina? Can he be QB1 on a week-in, week-out basis and be as productive as Gamecock fans are hoping he will be? At number 11, guys, I've got Mississippi State signal caller Blake Shapen. You know, I was looking on social media for video and takes on Blake Shapen, what have you, just commentary, if you will. I was really surprised at the amount of Mississippi State people that were down on this pickup. Because you go look at the numbers, guys. And listen, last year he was benched, but he was benched because he was hurt. That's why Blake Shapen got benched, okay? He was benched because he was hurt. And when he got benched or when he got hurt, 13 touchdowns and 3 picks. This was a guy that was an all-conference player in the Big 12. Unless I'm missing something, I don't really know what the hesitation is to be excited about what Blake Shapen will bring to the Mississippi State offense and what Jeff Lebby's trying to build in Starkville. Again, Shapen's a guy. How does he handle the SEC rigor, if you will, the challenge of the SEC and SEC defenses? But, I mean, this dude has performed at a high level before. Again, you can say whatever you want about the Big 12, this, that, but, I mean, being an all-conference caliber player in any other Power 5 conference, that's a pretty big deal. And so I think Mississippi State actually got a better one than their fans are giving credit for. And I got Blake Shapen at number 11 on our list. At number 10, guys, I've got Oklahoma signal caller Jackson Arnold. Again, this is another one, guys. Has Jackson Arnold, does he have some vast body of work for us to judge? Not necessarily. And right, he played in that bowl game against Arizona for Oklahoma, and he had his bright spots, certainly. Had 2 touchdown passes, made some throws, guys, that you're like, man, this dude's going to take the SEC by storm. And he also had some moments that, threw 3 interceptions. He looked lost out there. I think it was a great moment for Jackson Arnold for the standpoint of it. It's a teaching moment. You can learn from that. He can develop. He can grow. The mistakes he made were all correctable. And then you look at the upside of a Jackson Arnold. We talked about LaNorris Sellers earlier. It's very, very similar, guys. The arm strength is elite. The legs are fantastic, right? The running ability, it really stands out to you. And this was a guy that was one of the top-rated quarterbacks in all of college football recruiting when he was recruited and signed by the Oklahoma Sooners. So Jackson Arnold, I think, guys, is primed to have a big 2024 season for the Oklahoma Sooners. But again, we go back to the uncertainty and the unknowns of a guy that, simply put, just has not done it in the SEC yet, has not even been a full-time starter, but I do love the potential of what a Jackson Arnold brings as they enter the SEC. At number 9, I've got LSU signal caller Garrett Nussmeier. Now, guys, I know a lot of LSU fans are going to disagree with this. He's too low, what have you. I just need to see Nussmeier do it on a more consistent basis. I think what also really gives me great hesitation, guys, what gives me great hesitation is this. I have heard these same LSU fans trash Garrett Nussmeier over and over and over again. And so I'm like, how quickly things can turn around. Our last memory of Garrett Nussmeier is the bowl game against Wisconsin when he carved up the Badgers defense. But make no mistake, guys, there have been other moments. There have been other moments where fans have really questioned if he was cut out to be the next man under center in Baton Rouge. Got a great arm. He's a true pocket passer, if you will. He's not going to be Jaden Daniels. I don't think anybody's expecting that. But I do think he can be a top half of the league quarterback. For right now, I have him 9th. I just want to see more consistency and not so much up and down, not so much volatility in his play, if you will. 9th, I've got Garrett Nussmeier. At number 8, do I dare try to pronounce this last name? I'm going to try it one more time. At number 8, I've got Tennessee signal caller Nico Iamaleava. If I got it wrong, Tennessee fans, you can let me know in the comments, and I do apologize. Either way, at number 8, I got Nico. Guys, I'm really high on Nico. I'm a believer in Nico. I know it was just one game. I know it was just one game we saw against Iowa. I don't think people are giving that performance enough credit. I really don't. We're talking about an Iowa defense, guys, that was one of the best in college football entering that bowl game. One of the best in college ball throughout the 2023 season. And Nico and the Tennessee offense tore them up. Made them look like no big deal. Made it look like it was nothing. Made it look like it was nothing, guys. You look at the running ability, had 3 rushing touchdowns in that game. You look at the arm, guys, the arm talent's there. It may not be Joe Milton, throw it 90 yards down the field type of talent, but you don't need that. He's not just a thrower of the football. He's a passer of the football. I think Nico was an $8 million man for a reason, guys. And I talk about Tennessee, and I've been talking about Tennessee a lot as a college football playoff dark horse. Nico is a big reason why. He is a big part of that hype. He is a big part of that expectation. I know that the body of work is small. But again, when you do these power rankings, when you do these quarterback rankings, you take into account what you've done on the field, experience, if you will. You take into account upside. You also take into account raw talent. And Nico is as talented as anyone on this list. He may be the most talented when it's all said and done. We may be saying that. This dude has got big-time player written all over him. I think he's going to flourish in Josh Heupel's system. It's a quarterback-friendly system. I think Nico could be that next certified dude in the SEC. Easily, in my opinion, already a top half of the league quarterback. We could be talking about him as a top 3 or 4 quarterback when it's all said and done in the 2024 season. Guys, at number 7, I've got Texas A&M signal caller Connor Wegman. I think Connor Wegman's going to be a very, very slept on player entering this year because of his injury, right? Because of the fact that he went down early in 2023. What is he going to be? How does he come back? Guys, I think Connor Wegman's got the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks again in the SEC. I mean, we were talking about this last year, guys, that Connor Wegman was primed to be a top 3 or 4 quarterback in the conference. Had he not gotten injured, guys, he was very well on his way to doing that. I mean, he was on pace to have a fantastic season for the Texas A&M Aggies. And unfortunately, guys, like we mentioned, that injury forced Max Johnson into play, who is now at North Carolina. We saw in the bowl game what's behind what the rest of the quarterback room looks like. I think Connor Wegman, though, guys, I think he's going to be a very slept-on player going into the 2024 season. I do think Connor Wegman, assuming he can stay healthy, I think he's got a chance to be one of the best signal callers in the SEC. It'll be interesting to see with Mike Elko in there and the changes in the offensive staff and the scheme and what have you. How does he grasp that? How does he flourish? But I still really like the upside and potential of what Connor Wegman can do in that Aggie offense this season. At number 6, now, I'm going to catch a lot of grief for this one, but I think this one is a great test. Do you know ball or do you not? Simply put, because if you know ball, you know that this guy deserves more credit than he gets. He deserves more credit than he'll get all preseason. He deserves far more credit than he got at the end of last season. At number 6, I've got Florida quarterback Graham Mertz. Again, some of you just rolled your eyes. You scoffed. Look at the numbers last year. I know his team was no good. I understand that. I totally get that. I know his team wasn't good. But guys, ranked near the top in basically every single quarterback statistic you can think of in the 2023 season. The only reason that team had a chance to reach a bowl game was because of Graham Mertz. That is the only reason they had a chance to do so. And maybe I've just too got a soft spot for a guy that, I was so down and out on. I ranked this guy 14th in my quarterback rankings entering the 2023 season. And he made me look so damn foolish that I'm not going to make that mistake again. Graham Mertz, you can call him a game manager. You can call him this. He's not flashy. Graham Mertz isn't flashy by any means, but he gets the damn job done. And Florida wouldn't have had a shot at a bowl game last year if it weren't for Graham Mertz. They won't have a shot at one this year if Graham Mertz does not continue to play at the high level he displayed last season. So this guy's going to get disrespected all preseason. But make no mistake, Graham Mertz is a top half of the league at minimum signal caller in the SEC, does not get nearly the credit he deserves for what he does in that Gators offense. At number 5, another guy, speaking of, that doesn't get enough credit. And I've seen some guys, admittedly, I've seen some quarterback lists. I don't know how you keep this guy out of your top 5 after what we saw this past season. Number 5, I got Brady Cook from Missouri. Again, what he makes or what he lacks in flashiness and arm strength and whatever, speed, whatever it might be, he makes up for with heart, with grit, with determination. This dude is the modern-day Connor Shaw. Brady Cook is the modern-day Connor Shaw, a warrior on the football field. And we saw that all throughout 2023, right? Cody Schrader got the accolades. Luther Burden got the accolades. Theo Weiss. And those guys deserved it, no doubt. But similar to those South Carolina teams back in the early 2010s, as much as people want to downplay the contribution, that machine does not operate. That car does not drive without the man behind the wheel. And that man behind the wheel is Brady Cook, guys. I think his value, he's so undervalued as a quarterback in the SEC. And especially, again, after doing what he did in 2023, Theo Weiss and Luther Burden are back again from Mizzou. They got to figure out a guy to place for Cody Schrader. That's going to be much more difficult than it sounds. But still, Brady Cook is primed, I think, guys, to be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC again. And I think at this point, he is a top 5 SEC quarterback. At number 4, I've got Alabama signal caller Jalen Milroe. You know, when it comes to Milroe, guys, I look at a guy that, you know, I think, number one, we should be excited to see what Jalen Milroe does in Kalen DeBoer's offense. I really, and Ryan Grubb's offense, right? We saw what they did with Michael Penix Jr. I'm not saying that Jalen Milroe is Michael Penix Jr., but it's going to be a fun, spread it out, throw the football down the field. They're going to use quarterback run game. I do think this is going to be an offense that is catered to the skill set of Jalen Milroe. And I know we're going to have people, and I know exactly who's going to do it, that's going to bring up all the quarterback statistics in the world. And I think Jalen Milroe is a fantastic talent. I think he's a fantastic athlete. He's the best athlete on the field every time he takes the field. I still think he has a ways to go when it comes to throwing the football. I still think he has a ways to go when it comes to reading a defense. I still think he has a ways to go when it comes to mastering and commanding the quarterback position. There's more to it than just having a strong arm or being fast. There's a lot more to it than that. I'm not saying this guy is one of the bottom third in the league. I'm not saying he wasn't a good quarterback or solid last year, but fourth is right, I think, for Jalen Milroe right now. Also, brand new offensive scheme, brand new head coach. What's this thing going to look like? Is he going to be able to master it? And I think it will be an offense that caters to his skill set, but need to see it more consistently from. And I need to see Jalen Milroe take that next step. I need to see Milroe take that next step, because we're talking about the fall, the demise of Alabama. And you look at Jalen Milroe last year, guys. I now wonder, what type of quarterback is Jalen Milroe without Nick Saban? What type of quarterback is he without the best head coach in college football history guiding him along the way? So, I think Jalen Milroe has the potential. He's just got to take the next step when it comes to mastering the quarterback position. At number 3, guys, I've got Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss Rebels. You talk about a dude that's going to have a plethora of weapons around him, an embarrassment of riches on the offensive side. He's going to be set up for success under Lane Kiffin and company. But again, you look at what Jackson Dart, guys, did in 2023, certainly one of the best signal callers returning in the SEC. Love what Jackson Dart does, guys, in regards to, you know, creating the big play. I think he's great at improvisation. I think he's great in the pocket. The arm strength obviously is there. Guy's a gamer too, man. He's a warrior. Another one of these guys, just a warrior, a gamer. I think he's a dude that plays best with a chip on his shoulder, if you will. And I think a great leader of that Ole Miss football team as well. Again, guys, I love the skill set. I love the way he leads that Ole Miss team. He's in a great situation too. Right? Let's call it for what it is. It's not all built equally. He's in a fantastic situation when it comes to the Ole Miss football program and Lane Kiffin leading that charge and what they do offensively. But Jackson Dart, man, again, it's another situation where you got to have the right driver behind the wheel. Jackson Dart is that. And guys, I think Jackson Dart, one of the best quarterbacks, not just in the SEC, but all of college football. And number 2, I've got Texas signal caller Quinn Ewers. It was big news when he decided to return for the 2024 season, guys, and for good reason. I think automatically, and I know folks are ready for the Arch Manning era, but I think automatically Texas is a college football playoff, I don't want to say lock, but definitely a favorite to make the 12-team college football playoff with Quinn Ewers leading the charge. It'll be interesting to see how he adapts to life after some of the weapons he had on the outside that left Xavier Worthy, Jordan Whittington, some of those most notably. But again, guys, Quinn Ewers, he's a gamer. Again, he's got the arm, similar skill set to some of these other guys I'm talking about. An elite passer of the football. I think he's really underrated with his legs as well. He can move in the pocket. He can move outside of the pocket. He can throw on the run. He's just done a great job for Texas. And oh, by the way, he's got Steve Sarkisian calling the plays for him. Not a bad spot to be in. Not a bad spot to be in. So Quinn Ewers, who led Texas to the college football playoff, fell short against Washington, but still, Quinn Ewers certainly coming into the league as one of the best at QB1. And finally, guys, at number 1 in our way too early SEC quarterback rankings into the 2024 season, Carson Beck, starting quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs. It's hard to believe and hard to fathom that Carson Beck could be underrated or undervalued entering 2024. But guys, I really, truly believe he will be. I really, really believe he will yet again, because everybody looks and says, oh, he's just on the best team. He doesn't do anything. Guys, go back and look at the numbers. Go look at the numbers in 2023. This dude put up insane numbers. Navigated one of the best offenses in college football. The running game really wasn't the dominant thing for Georgia. We're so used to seeing ground and pound and Georgia in the I formation run the football. I mean, it was Carson Beck's arm that carried that offense. I think Georgia, guys, I'm almost positive ranked number 1, or maybe it was number 2, but we're right there at the top of the SEC in passing yards per game. I mean, Carson Beck was fantastic, and he doesn't get nearly enough credit for it. I think he's a dark horse, guys, to win the Heisman Trophy in 2024. I may be putting a bet on him to win it all, because I think Georgia's going to be set up well to have a great year, and I think Carson Beck will be set up well to have a great year also. But Carson Beck, the best of the best when it comes to SEC signal callers entering the 2024 football season.